Okay then, boys, the game's just finished. Chelsea 2, Fulham nil. We've got another win at home. And look, we're playing great football, especially, the second half. The first half, we've been like that these last couple games, right? We're starting really slow. We're inviting pressure. We're often going a goal down early on, and they are being disallowed, yes. But just from our previous fixtures, right? So against Crystal Palace, we go a goal down early, gets disallowed, but that's still, Crystal Palace were looking better than us. That's a fact. And then against West Ham, yes, we did, absolutely destroy them. But at one point, it was 2-1 West Ham, right? So early on in the games, and obviously Fulham, it was a great goal by Josh King. Uh, we're going down early, right? And it only seems once we've conceded a goal, yes, it gets disallowed, but we're still conceding goals, right? Only once that happens, we switch on, then we start executing Maresca's game plan. Then we start looking comfortable in possession, creating some nice passing movements, and creating chances, right? But it takes about 20, 25 minutes until we really get into the full swing of things. And look, just to highlight some individual performances, we'll go over it in a bit more detail anyway. Caicedo, for me, man of the match. Absolutely monstrous performance. Look at that, 23 defensive contributions. Was doing everything right. They couldn't get past him. Winning absolutely everything, just dominating the midfield. And if you watch Chelsea, this is what Caicedo does, right? And if you don't watch all the Chelsea games, you're not going to know how good Caicedo actually is, because you're going to look at these certain apps, FootMob or whatever, and you'd be like, oh yeah, he played okay. But if you actually watch the game, he's everywhere. He's just dominating, right? It's tough to say, but he's like Kante, and that's a high pedestal to put him on. But his performances are warranting this, and it's exciting to see how he's going to perform in the Champions League as well. Because Kante on the big games, he would step up and he would perform like that. It'll be interesting to see if Caicedo does the same, right? The foot mob have Fernandez as man of the match. For me, I'd say it was a disappointing performance by Fernandez. Yes, he played good in the second half. That first half, he was awful. Some of the fans at the stadium were beefing him as well, probably saying he's turning like a truck. His first touches were off. We had a few counter-attacks where it was 3-on-3, and, you'd kind of want it to be with Enzo in those positions, because he's the one who can thread the needle and deliver a dangerous ball, right? And he'd lose possession, and our counter-attack would be over. But let's not dwell too much on the negatives. Look, Maresca's got to figure out something, right? Why do we look so slow in these 20, 25 minutes? If we play like that against Bayern Munich in 2 weeks away from home at the Allianz, we're going to get battered. We're lucky it was Fulham and it was Josh King and Muniz who were tearing us apart. If that's Harry Kane, if that's Elise, or, Kimmich, look, it's not going to be pretty. Yes, we might look good in the second half, but it'll be too late by then. It's like we can look good, but there'll be a couple goals up and they'll be cruising, right? So we have to figure out some sort of, solution to why we're starting so slow. But once we get into the second half and once we get into the full swing of things, we're really looking good. And if you looked at my preview video yesterday, this is what I predicted. So not to toot my own horn or anything, but I did say Chelsea will win this 2-0 or 2-1. And if it is 2-1, we'll probably go down a goal early, and we'll have to, claw and bring ourselves back. And it's pretty much exactly what happened. Whether you think the goal should have been disallowed or not, it was. But if it wasn't, and Fulham go, it's 1-1, and we get that late goal, it's 1-1 going into half time, it's pretty much what I was saying. We start slow. Fulham are a good team. We've seen that in their last couple games. They have been unfortunate to get draws. They probably should have beaten, United. And they made it tricky for us. A great individual goal by Josh King. We can't be letting an 18-year-old dunk on us at Stamford Bridge. Like, yes, he's a good, talented player, but we can't be letting people like that, absolutely dunk on us and get their first Premier League goal. Don't want to be seeing that happening at Stamford Bridge. So, look, next couple games moving forward, we've got to shore up our defence. Chalobah for me is looking really good, really solid. So is Cucurella. I thought Gusto, we had a pretty underrated performance. Starting instead of Reece James. I don't know if that's purely tactical or Reece James, that we just want to manage his fitness, right? Especially when we're going into the fixtures and we're getting 2 games a week, we're going to have to rotate Reece. He can't play every game, especially not these long minutes. He's going to pick up an injury. So I don't mind the rotation. I think it's quite smart. And he had a good performance. His pace was really useful on that one recovery he did when they had a counter-attack. And he, quickly recovered the ball from Iwobi. Going forward, I thought he looked okay. Nothing special, but it was a good performance. I'm not like the biggest Gusto fan, so for him to play well, I thought, you can't have anything wrong to say, to be honest. Chalobah, for me, great performance again. Mr. Consistent. He's the one who every game is not really putting a foot wrong. Really happy for him. Since his, being recalled from loan at Crystal Palace, he's just played really well, hasn't he? And everyone's seen that. And it's nice that, the academy boy is playing for us. And he won us the penalty. I think it was a penalty. I've seen, some people on social media sort of questioning it. Look, his arms aren't down low. If his arm's down low and it kind of hits the side or hits his elbow or whatever, but he's jumping, he's trying to cover, he's like, scared of the ball. And yes, it's a penalty. So for me, it was a penalty. The goal being disallowed, yes, is harsh, but does Muniz stand on his foot? Yes, he does. And anywhere on the pitch, if that doesn't lead to a goal, it is a foul. It's just the ref didn't see it, right? So for me, both decisions were correct. I know it's going to be a bit biased, but if that happens against Chelsea and, maybe Caicedo stands on someone's foot as he does a roulette and it gets disallowed because of that, it is a foul. You can't stand on people's feet, unfortunately. We're not playing football from the 60s or the Maradona era, right? So, yes, the referee, and there's some controversy surrounding the game, but we don't often get all of these chances go our way and all of the 50-50s go our way. Mourinho always said there's an agenda against Chelsea. We've never been known for the referees to favour us and give us all these, great decisions. So, yes, we got the 50-50s our way this game. But it doesn't happen every game, and it certainly doesn't happen every season. We're not exactly like, Liverpool or, some performances from Arsenal in the FA Cup where every 50-50 went their way. Xhaka did a foul and our player got booked because of it, if anyone remembers that in the FA Cup final, right? So, yes, there's some controversy. It's not the end of the world. We were still the better team regardless. Even if we're going into half-time at 1-1, right? We were still the better team. So, everyone can have their things to say, but that's what I think. Tossing for me, it was a decent game. I wouldn't, dwell on it too much. I think Chalobah was better, but we need Tosin back. It's unfortunate, Champion didn't really get any minutes or play. He is good enough, but we need him for depth. And it's the same for Fofana as well. But as it stands, I think Tosin and Chalobah are our two best centre-backs, and we need them to play together. There's no point chopping and turning. We need them to play together to develop a good partnership, and so we can keep getting clean sheets. Because, in the 3 games, we've had 2 clean sheets, and we can't quite say that for Chelsea in the last couple of years. We're not letting in many chances. If you look at our XG from the previous 2 games, they were under 1. In this game, yes, Fulham got over 1, but it wasn't by too much, 1.09. But it's not like we're having a bad game, right? And the XG against us is like 2, and we really, overperformed defensively, or they had a really poor finishing, like shot selection, or Sanchez had an outstanding game. Then I'd be a bit more concerned if Fulham had like 2-3 XG and they really should have won this game. Then I'd be like, hold up, we need to fix something. But we only played bad in the first 20-25 minutes. Once we, in the previous games, I'd say we didn't play very well the whole first half, to be honest. It was only the second half we really, switched it up and played a lot better. Cucurella, for me, another good performance. He's a player you'd love to have on your team and hate to have against. He's always just being aggressive and winning the 50-50s, tackling. He's a team player. So again, he's Mr. Consistent. He always drops about a 7 out of 10. Clean sheet for me in FPL, so I'll take that. Caicedo, for me, man of the match. Absolute monster performance. Completely dominated the midfield. Already said my bit about him. Just look at the stats, and the stats don't even do it justice. Just watch the football match, and you'll see for yourself. Just everywhere on the pitch. He's like an octopus. You don't think he's got two legs. He's just everywhere, just winning every ball, interceptions, through balls, helping us on the counter attack. Complete monster performance. Fernandez for me really poor first half. I said in the preview as well he had to have a better game. These are the kind of games we need Enzo Fernandez to really step it up and show. He was captain for this game, so he needs to show he's got captain material. Kind of lost his head going into half time. It's understandable. We were really frustrating as a team, and I'm sure he wasn't happy with his performance either. And people are going to look at the stats and be like, oh, but Enzo got a goal and an assist. Yes, he scored the penalty. It was an okay penalty right down the middle. And he got an assist from a corner. But this is why you need to watch the football game, right? Yes, he got a goal and an assist, but he was not man of the match. He was not the best player on the pitch. First half, really disappointing. And he knows it was a disappointing game. But in the second half, he came on levels. He was much better, right? So we can't be too upset about that. Look, he had a really poor first half, but I'm sure he went into the dressing room. He was saying, what was that? I need to step it up. I've been way off it, way off the pace. Really slow, turning like a truck. But in the second half, way more switched on. His first touch was much better. His progressive passing was much better. And that's what we need to see. But we need to see that for the full 90 minutes. If Caicedo can do it, Enzo needs to do it. And if we can, our midfield is one of the best in Europe, Estevao, I thought he had a great game. Looked tired towards the end. That's why Maresca subbed him off. You could see he'd run his socks off, right? And it makes sense. He's only 18. It's a brand new team. And he's playing in the Premier League. It's not easy. So, for me, really good performance. Could have got his goal. Absolutely bullied Bassi at times. There was that one time he sat him down. His dribbling, we've got no one who can dribble like that in the team, and he's only 18. So what's he going to look like in a couple of years? Real Brazilian flair. So super exciting player for us. I thought it was a great performance. Unlucky to not, contribute in any way, but we don't need that necessarily to have a good performance, right? His dribbling's there. He had a few shots on target, set up a few of his teammates. So, the goals and the assists are going to come. He's playing good. And if he plays like that every game, he's going to get chances, he's going to get goals, right? So for me, really positive performance. Just struggled with his fitness a little bit, and that's understandable. He's only 18, he's a kid. Joao Pedro, he could get man of the match as well. I think he got the official man of the match in the game. I'd favour Caicedo just because of his overall contributions. But Joao Pedro, it wasn't, with the lap going off injured, it wasn't easy with Tyreek George coming on, right? And yes, he got subbed off again. And that's probably the last game we'll see of Tyreek George, which is unfortunate. It looks like he's going off to Roma. So if that is his last goal, thank you, Tyreek George. But he's not. You can kind of see, right? He's not quite Chelsea quality. He didn't really do anything in the whole 70 minutes he played. Back to Joao Pedro. Look, he was thinking, in the whole preview of the game, right? I'm playing with the lap. This is, the tactics. This is what we're going to do. The lap pulls up 14 minutes with a hamstring injury. So now you've got Tyreek George in front of you. So it's already changed the dynamic of how he was going to approach the game. I thought he adjusted, really well. First half, he was barely involved in the game, but you could say that for most of our players, right? So, Enzo was really poor. Joao Pedro didn't really do much, but neither did anyone in the first half. It was really poor watching. In the second half, Maresca clearly had a good shout at them, and we came in much better. Joao Pedro, his whole link-up play, how technical he is, how versatile he is. You can tell he can play anywhere across the front four, which is really good. If we're going to be getting these injuries, it looks like we're going to have him play like that. So depending how long the lap is out for, right? I'm not too sure, how we're going to line up. I don't think Palmer's injury is too serious. We'll probably wait till the international break. So he'll probably miss Brentford. He shouldn't be out for too long. So it depends. We'll have to wait and see how bad the lap's injury is. It could be, he's just out for a week. It might not be necessarily a hamstring tear, which would be best case scenario. With Jackson now going to Bayern Munich, we don't really have, a backup striker. So you could argue, was it smart to loan out Jackson if we need him? Because we had to sub on Tyreek George, right? And we could have subbed on Jackson and he would have played 70, 80 minutes. as it stands, say Delap is injured, we've got one recognised striker at the club. Now, are we going to promote Trim Waker and we're going to play the academy striker? I doubt it. We might, but look, it's a big step up and ask for him. Potentially, he might see the bench against Brentford just until Palmer's back from injury, and then we can play Joao Pedro as the number 9. But Joao Pedro, he's cooking and he's looking good playing that number 10 position as a shadow striker, that deep lying forward sort of position. He's looking good there. So if that is where Maresca sees him and he doesn't really see him as a 9, maybe that's one to watch in the next couple of days. We've got until Monday, today's Saturday, so we've got 2 days in the transfer market. Are we potentially going to go out and get a striker? I don't think so. We're going to get Buonate. Don't really need him unless we're going to put Joao Pedro at 9, and then he's going to play in that central position. We're only getting him on loan, right? So remains to be seen how that's going to develop. So I guess we can only wait and see, right? The next 2 days should be interesting. There's still quite a bit of business to do. I'd be in favour if Delap is out, but it depends how bad it is, right? He could potentially be out for 2 months, could be a couple of weeks. So if he is out for two months, personally, I'd go out and get a striker. We can't afford to just drop points and play it safe. I want us to really be aggressive in the market, fill the void, and let's keep performing, man. Let's support Maresca. He's our guy. He's the manager. I have full support in him. Oh wow, well, Everton have scored already, and Bournemouth. Oh wow, goals are flying in, unlike our game. And Neto, I thought it was a pretty good performance by Neto. Nothing special, but worked his socks off. Ran for the team. And, playing off the left. He obviously wants to play on the right, but Estevao is that guy, so he's unfortunately gonna have to play on the left, mate. He played well, so nothing too special, just a 7 out of 10 for me. And then the players who came off the bench, I thought, Jamie Gittins, it was quite bright, didn't do too much. For me, the best player was Andre Santos. I want him to get more minutes. It's unfortunate. He got 9 minutes played. He needs to be playing more. It's unfortunate. Just in the 9 minutes we saw of him, he can do everything, right? If Enzo's having a poor game, let's just get Andre Santos on and really give a kick up the backside to Fernandez. If you're not performing correctly, you're really going to have to, be switched on. Andre Santos is here. He can play in either 6, 8 position. You could even see him in that 10 position as well. So, look, if Enzo's having a poor game, we've got Andre Santos there. Reece James, I don't know if he's fully fit or they're just being careful with him. But like I said, Gusto didn't have a bad game by any means. And overall, look, we can't be too upset. We won the game 2-0, another clean sheet. The only thing we've got to fix, right, is how slow we're starting. It's just we're letting in goals when we shouldn't be. Yes, they're getting disallowed. We're getting a little lucky in that respect, but we're still letting them get chances. And if we can just nip that out the bud, just cancel that early part of the game that we're being quite slow on. Apart from that, when we're in possession and we're controlling and cruise sailing, we're looking like a really solid team and hard to break down, dangerous on the counter-attack as well. With Joao Pedro playing back to goal and these nice flick-ons to our pacey wingers, have Estevao and Neto. It's nice having fast wingers again. Gone are the days of having Mount and Gallagher on the wings. Like, that just doesn't work, right? So Fulham are a tough team. We beat them quite convincingly, especially with that second half. Yes, some people are going to cry about the referee decisions, but hey, not my issue, not my problem. And then we move. So if we just look at our next fixtures now. So we go away to Brentford next Saturday. We'll see how Brentford play this week. I think this is a game we should be winning again. I've got Brentford to be relegated. We'll see what happens in the transfer market now. We've got Buonate to come into the team. Obviously, we've got Garnacho to come in as well. I imagine we're going to get another player. They're still talking about potentially Fermin Lopez joining the club. I don't know if we'll go out and bid for him. Do we go out and get a striker if Delap's out for 2 months, or we don't know how bad his injury is, right? So I think I'm predicting these last 2 days of the transfer market to be quite crazy. I'll be here covering it all anyway. I'll be dropping videos, so don't worry about that. But apart from that, that's it. Clean sheet, 3 points. We can have a nice weekend now. I don't have to be miserable. I can go to the gym now with a smile on my face, going to go get an arm pump. And then I'll see you boys tomorrow, unless we get any crazy breaking news that we've just, bid for anyone. I'll drop a video tomorrow, and then I'll see you boys then. So, up the Chels, 3 points. We move. Peace.